Welcome to Daily Variety, your daily dose of news and analysis for entertainment industry insiders. It's Tuesday, August 25th, 2026. I'm your host, Cynthia Littleton. I am co-editor-in-chief of Variety alongside Ramin Satuda. I'm in LA, he's in New York, and Variety has reporters around the world covering the business of entertainment. On today's episode, I'm going to sketch out some changes that are coming to Daily Variety and our companion Strictly Business podcast. We've had a really fun and I hope insightful run with Daily Variety for a little more than a year, but now it's time to evolve this effort. I will explain. But before I do, here are a few headlines just in this morning that you need to know. The headline of the day that delayed the release of this podcast is the passing of one Dolly Parton. Truly, her impact on the 80 years that she walked this earth was immense. As an artist, as a personality, as a philanthropist who has changed the lives of children in Tennessee through all that she has donated to children's hospitals for medical research, for recreation, for education, Dolly Parton was a force for good in her life. She was an uncommonly talented songwriter. She wrote from the heart. Dolly Parton is absolutely the best of America. She was sui generis. She was funny, saucy. She had a half-century marriage that she celebrated. She was incredible. It is an enormous loss. The tributes will be rolling in for the rest of this year and beyond. Dolly Parton really was a singular figure, and I'm just glad to have lived in the time when she lived. And there has been another significant passing for our business in the last couple of days, Shelley Fabares. She was always fun to cover at an event or a red carpet. She was always a good interview. She was a lively presence at charitable and social events through SAG and the Actors Fund. I had the pleasure of moderating a Donna Reed Show reunion at the Paley Center for Media in Los Angeles in 2011. That sitcom ran from 1958 to 1966. Think of the time span, and so it is no surprise that Shelley Fabares came to encapsulate an image of young American womanhood. Smart, determined, always well-dressed, the hair flipped just so. One of the best things about Shelley is she loved her past. She did not try to run from the Donna Reed Show or the 3 mostly forgettable Elvis Presley movies that she made in the mid-60s, or her 1961 pop hit Johnny Angel. You can find the clip on YouTube. At the Donna Reed Show reunion, I remember speaking to Shelley and her husband of more than 40 years, the great actor, director, and activist Mike Farrell. Fabares was a committed activist for environmental and social causes that she believed in, from the anti-nuclear movement to opposing U.S. political incursions in Central America. Fabares and Farrell were out on the streets of Los Angeles last year protesting the inhumanity of ICE raids, and that is absolutely in keeping with her character. Rest in power, Shelley Fabares. Our sympathies to Mike Farrell and all who loved her. And now it's time for a conversation about the future of this podcast, Daily Variety. After a few more episodes this week, we're going to retire the Daily Variety brand and lean into our long-standing Strictly Business podcast franchise. Strictly Business has been around as a weekly, long-form interview podcast since 2018, with episodes released on Fridays in recent years. A great many listeners already receive Daily Variety episodes through the Strictly Business feed. I've picked up a few things after covering television for a very long time. We launched Daily Variety as a spin-off of Strictly Business on July 14th, 2025, to make sure that it had strong sampling among its target audience, industry listeners. We also launched a separate Daily Variety only feed. So, as we streamline our newsy and long-form interview podcasts under the Strictly Business brand, please make sure you're following us on Variety's Strictly Business feed, which you can find on iHeart Podcasts and every other podcast platform on the planet. Going forward, your humble host is planning to deliver shorter Strictly Business episodes on Mondays and Wednesdays, and if news warrants on other days. We'll call these episodes Strictly Business Daily. Like Daily Variety, these episodes will be newsy, 20 minutes or less, and as ever, a showcase for the incredible journalism that Variety produces across print, digital, video, social, and live media platforms. We produce a lot every week, and it's worth showing off. From the very start of this daily Variety experiment, I have greatly valued the feedback that I've gotten from listeners. The response was fast, which made me realize I'd touched a nerve and a need for business news tailored to a very specific audience. That's the audience that read the dearly departed Daily Variety newspaper, which ran Monday through Friday for 80 years, from September 1933 until its final issue in February 2013. There were a few years there where we actually also published on Saturdays. I was proud to work for Daily Variety for about 3 years in the late 90s, and then for the final 6 years of its run. It was a kick for me to bring back the familiar Kelly Green Daily Variety logo to launch this show last year. I have tried to craft each episode to be true to the spirit of Daily Variety and its content mix. It's a big old blend of news, analysis, interviews, a few short takes of info that should be of interest to people in the business of selling, making, marketing, or distributing content in all of its many forms. And we wanted to show a little love for the social and charitable institutions of our industry that are harder to stand out in the internet age. The feedback from listeners on Daily Variety has been invaluable. I've heard loud and clear that the most compelling segments are deeply analytical and businessy, looking at how our business is changing, who's changing and why, and what it all means. Variety has such a big perch, and we are fortunate to cover the most fascinating business in the entire world. So we'll embrace our love of wonky details and wait, how does that deal work? We'll emphasize business expertise, analysis, and insights. There is so much to unpack right now. Going forward, and while we are excited to expand with Strictly Business Daily, the Friday episode will remain, as ever, a long-form interview with a leader or leaders in the business of media and entertainment. Going forward, I will also be writing a companion Strictly Business Daily newsletter for Variety, offering observations on the business moves and deals that matter. And we will really put emphasis on the emerging markets that are exploding right now and further upending the traditional entertainment world. AI, vertical media, creators, and the collision of all of the above. You can sign up for this free newsletter in about 5 seconds. Just go to Variety.com and look for newsletter preferences. If you're already signed up for the existing weekly Strictly Business newsletter that comes out on Fridays, you're all set. Strictly Business Daily will also come through that feed. The existing Strictly Business newsletter that is released on Fridays with a calendar of events, charts, analysis, and commentary exclusive to the newsletter will still rotate through editors on Variety's business team and be published on Fridays, except for those times when we publish on Saturday. So that's a lot of changes. Again, please make sure that you're following this podcast on the Variety Strictly Business feed, and don't forget to sign up for the free enhanced Strictly Business newsletter. We have ambitious plans for developing recurring editorial franchises that will put sunlight on vexing business questions. In the meantime, we'll have 2 more Daily Variety episodes before the curtain comes down on August 27th. It's been a great privilege to host this show, and I am extremely grateful to all of our loyal listeners, and we will keep on keeping on under the Strictly Business banner. As we close out today's episode, I want to rerun a segment that I ran at the end of this show's first week in July 2025. It's all about my sign-off line, Sticks, Nicks, Hick Picks. That is a famous Variety headline that ran in 1935 that came to encapsulate the irreverence of our brand. I had been planning to explain Sticks, Nicks, Hick Picks after a few days of the podcast, and I kid you not, this is true. I was writing that segment on the evening of July 16th, and suddenly, as I looked at a clip of the original front page with that doozy of a headline, I noticed that it ran on July 17th, 1935, which meant 90 years ago to the day, so I hurried up and finished the segment and ran it on July 17th, 2025. That coincidence continues to blow my mind. I've decided that it was a hat tip from the great beyond from Variety founder Symes Silverman, who got this whole enterprise going in December of 1905. Here is the Sticks, Nicks, Hick Picks explainer segment that ran on July 17th, 2025. Before we go, I want to thank all the listeners who have sent me feedback on this inaugural week for Daily Variety. I've had some questions about my sign-off tagline and what it means. The phrase I'm saying is Sticks, Nicks, Hick Picks. This is a nod to Variety's history of running really, really irreverent and slangy headlines. Sticks, S-T-I-C-K-S, is a slang term for rural areas. Nix, N-I-X, means to reject. Hick, H-I-C-K, is a slang term for a rural resident. And Pix, P-I-X, is Variety's language for movies. Fun fact, the Sticks, Nicks, Hick Picks headline ran 90 years ago today. It was the banner headline on our July 17th, 1935 edition. It was the lead story that explained why a series of big movies set in heartland areas had flopped with moviegoers in those exact areas. Basically, the story boils down to, don't pander to what you think the audience wants, just make good movies and they'll travel. It's a lesson Hollywood is still grappling with. Thanks for listening. Before we go, congrats to John Stamos. He's about to be honored with the Bob Saget Legacy Award at the annual Cool Comedy Hot Cuisine fundraiser for the Scleroderma Research Foundation. The event will feature performances by Matt Friend, Ron Funches, and Lisa Ann Walter. Jeff Ross is back as host, and Seth Green will be back as auctioneer. The event is set for October 13th in Beverly Hills. Thanks for listening. This episode was written and reported by me, Cynthia Littleton. Sticks, Nicks, Hick Picks. Please leave us a review at the podcast platform of your choice. And don't forget to tune in Wednesday for the penultimate installment of Daily Variety.